Welcome back to WOWBIZ Weekly. This is Omaha, Nebraska's only business news magazine in video. It's exciting, it's dynamic. This is the convergence, this is the vortex of a lot of great business thinking. Some of the brightest movers and shakers in the community are right here on my set. I'm thrilled to have them. I'm equally thrilled, by the way, to have the Creighton Business School deeply involved in this. They are sponsoring this show. They've organized almost every facet of the program. And most importantly, and Dan, make sure that these folks are on camera, I have some honors students, some Dean's Fellows from Creighton University. I'm going to ask all my guests to applaud these Creighton students right here in the middle of the audience. We are so pleased. I appreciate all the effort you put into the show. Each one of you has written summaries of shows and recommended guests and so on. So I thank you sincerely for your involvement to date. Among those guests, people that you've recommended, you've suggested, as we glanced at the World Herald recently, the Omaha World Herald, there was an interesting story about commercial lending here in Omaha, and commercial lending scene, and there were a lot of quotes from various different bank officials talking about the contrary trends, the uncertainty, the ambiguity. And one of those people quoted was this gentleman right here. Please welcome Mr. Michael Dahir from Omaha State Bank, everybody. Please say hi. Thank you so much for coming, sir. You just got back from Arizona. You're moving quickly, and we're so pleased to have you.
I'm not moving quickly.
You're not, actually. Well, why don't you tell the audience why you say that?
Well, I have a broken hip that I'm sitting on halfway right now, but I feel pretty good.
Are you okay? Are you on pain pills?
No.
You're not on pain pills? I was going to apologize for any silly remarks you might make in the middle of this interview.
Well, if this doesn't work, I'll recant and say I was on pain pills.
Okay, so you're not being completely straightforward with me.
Politicians on the airways right
now. Yes, there are.
Change their stories.
And exactly, constantly, as a matter of fact, right? So if you were a presidential candidate and this were a national audience right now, how would you read this audience? What do you think they want to hear from you, a banker here in Omaha, Nebraska? What do they want to hear?
Well, first I'd like to say that I was in 1970, or am a 1970 graduate of Creighton, and our first, my partner in crime here is also a
We're going to introduce him shortly here.
But our first guest mentioned the word evolve.
Yes.
And I couldn't help but think, as we were driving down here and as I sit here, how much Creighton has evolved over the last, gosh, it's 42 years.
You don't have to say that.
And you were just kids when I was going to school.
They weren't even thought of, okay? Let's just get right to it.
But opportunities like this, a forum like this, to hear from people that have had some experience in the business community or other venues, I think that's what they're probably here.
Invaluable.
To hear.
Absolutely.
And so what would specifically you like me to mention?
Well, why don't we introduce your partner in crime, and we'll get into this commercial lending conundrum, because I have a lot of challenging questions for you. So why don't you introduce to the audience right here and say, please welcome my associate, my friend, my longtime commercial lending colleague. Go ahead.
Please welcome all the above in reference to Charlie Boone.
Mr. Charlie Boone from Omaha State Bank. How'd you like that introduction?
It was pretty good.
Not too bad.
I've had worse.
I think he could be a talk show host. What do you think?
Just stick to his day job.
You know, you just came back from a strategic planning session, both of you. Obviously here in Omaha, as is around the country, commercial lending is a tough groove. We've been waiting for the economy to rebound. But here's my question to all of you, and I'm going to begin with you, Charlie. Why don't we, or why doesn't your organization, what's the issue? What's the real hang-up? What's the uncertainty really all about? Why don't you just take the bull by the horns, make a couple giant investments, and you know, make things happen?
There are a lot of question marks that business owners have right now about the election, about taxes, about what they can do with you know, healthcare, things like that.
Yes.
That are sometimes slowing them down. I was up visiting a customer in Missouri Valley yesterday, and they said their pipeline is huge for what they need to build, what they need to construct. They might need a new piece of equipment, but because of some of these uncertainties, they're just going to wait until after the election. They're going to wait until 2013. They're having a strong year, but you know, they can just be conservative and cautious and wait.
So the pipeline is full. That means customers want to do business with them. And why wouldn't you go ahead and make a loan, call your buddy Charlie, invest in capacity so that you can service the pent-up demand and make more profit and go to Arizona and hang out with Michael Dahir more often?
Well, we absolutely would love to. I mean, we've been very aggressive very active in the commercial banking arena.
Yes.
We want to do as many deals as we possibly can. And I think business owners in the Midwest are pretty conservative, but at the same time, as soon as they're ready to do something, we're right there.
Yeah.
We built up these relationships over a long time with customers, and they kind of view us as a trusted business advisor. So
Sure.
when they are finally ready to make that decision, we're ready to jump. I mean, we've got capital to lend. We want to do it.
Michael, what's the big issue with risk? I mean, why do we always have to have everything perfect? It's got to be guaranteed. I have to say this, I sound a little bit like Mitt Romney when he was at Bain. Everything has to be laid out and guaranteed before we move forward. Why? Why does it have to? This is America. People step out, they take risks, and the reward matches the risk. What's up?
Are you referring more to banks lending and assessing risk, or are you referring more to businesses taking risk to expand?
Well, the latter initially, but obviously it involves you as well. Somebody's got to grab them and say, the risk is there to be sure, but we're looking at double-digit growth here. Come on.
Well, when you hear the word risk, you have to consider the word reward. So, as a business person, I think that the overall economic climate will motivate you more or less to take risk because you see either a greater or lesser chance of reward. As we're here in Omaha, I think you have to consider the Omaha marketplace different than what you might hear about on CNBC or more globally, because we have it pretty good here in Omaha. Our unemployment rate's at 4, the national rate's a little under 8. Our unemployment rate never got above 5. The national rate got to 10.
So that means there's discretionary income, there's purchasing power out there. Why aren't we taking incrementally more risk? Because we're in this relatively safe, moderated, somewhat insulated environment. It doesn't match to me.
I think you could possibly be misinformed as it relates to that, Lynn, because I think there's risk being taken in the community. All you have to do is drive around and see the projects that are being done. I think the local housing industry is in much, much better shape because it didn't get in as bad a shape as most other parts of the country, so it's in better shape today.
Right.
I think we have a Midwestern mentality. I think we're prudent in assessing risk, but counter to that, I think there's a lot of capital in our marketplace and a lot of smart business people in our marketplace. And they're not bashful about putting it to work. And I just think the whole economic infrastructure in a community like Omaha, I think we're very blessed to be here. And I think we have a very strong economic infrastructure, and I think we're actively building on that as we speak. And as Charlie mentioned, banks have plenty of capital and they're anxious to lend because if they don't loan the money, they're giving it away for 10 basis points in the Fed funds market. And so
better to put it into the local economy.
It is, yes.
All right, all right. Well, gentlemen, we've got a great interview here, a great show, and I appreciate your coming on together. Fabulous interview. Thank you so much. How about a round of applause for Charlie and Michael, Omaha State Bank. They understand the marketplace. We'll be right back. Thanks for watching the WOWBIZ Weekly. Got a new show coming right up. Thanks very much.